What is going on, guys? It is Joe and welcome back to a brand new installment of The Breakfast Club. For those of you that are new to the channel, The Breakfast Club is a series on my channel in which I superset between full day of eating vlogs, workouts, all that good stuff, and then something called The Breakfast Club. Called The Breakfast Club because I have a mini Q&A from the questions that are left in the comment section down below, or DM to me on Instagram at Joseph_Garcia17. So if you have any questions, make sure you send them there or leave them in the comments down below. And more importantly, make sure you follow me there. And we basically call it The Breakfast Club because I sit here, eat breakfast, answer your questions, hang out. It's a good time. We've been known to eat French toast, pancakes, cheesecakes, even cookies. However, a little bit of background, it's my peak week for my second show that I'm doing. So we are carb depleting, so we're not having any of that good shit. We are just having some boring ass chicken breast and guacamole, which this is actually pretty good. Chicken by itself, nah. But I'm gonna just basically give a little bit of a taste test here. I mean, there's no magic, it's just chicken. Dip it in here to get some guac. And that's it. It is my last and final day of peak week though, so tomorrow is gonna be just a carb overload, baby. And speaking of that carb overload, tomorrow I will be posting a video going over my peak week, my approach, what I'm doing. It's gonna be actually a really good video, so make sure you tune into that. Anyways, I'm gonna eat this and then we'll answer some questions, so give me a moment. Alrighty, so some time has elapsed. I basically recorded that intro and then I had to actually go to work, and now I'm back here to now answer some questions. So let's get right into it. So question number one, bro, can you make a video on the best high protein, low calorie dense veggies, beans, meat, and all that basic stuff, because I live in a place where I can't get low calorie dense foods that taste good, like low calorie syrups, food dressings, PB2 or PB Fit, low calorie cheese, Greek yogurt, and stuff like that. This type of video will be really helpful. Thank you. First of all, thank you for submitting the questions. Second of all, that sucks. Okay, if I couldn't get PB Fit, if I couldn't get my low calorie dressings, my sauces, my low calorie syrups, dude, I don't know what the I would do. I'll be honest with you. What would I do if I didn't have access to all the amazing things I get to enjoy where I basically live, like the fat-free versions of things, all that stuff? I mean, essentially what you would do is you would set up your diet in a way where you would still be calories in versus calories out, and you would basically eat a little bit more, I guess, traditionally, not so much the anabolic recipes. I mean, if you can make French toast, I would say go ahead and make it, and rather than, I guess, put, you know, low-calorie syrup on there, maybe you can cook like some of the fruit, like a strawberries or blueberries, down into a syrupy consistency and pour that over your French toast. That way you're getting in a serving of fruit and you're getting in something to kind of like just lubricate the bread and whatnot. But that's, I mean, that's a tough one, you know, because a lot of the things that I do eat come from like a lot of the recipes that I obviously make. The question was actually submitted to me on Instagram. Me and this individual did have a conversation going back and forth. They did say they struggle with getting in the necessary protein per day, like 1 gram of protein per pound. Now listen, I recommend to go for 1 gram of protein per pound, but you can really go as 0.5 to 1 gram. So if you're not getting in 1 gram, if you're getting like 0.8 grams per pound, then that's okay. If you're even getting 0.5 grams per pound, that's okay. Chances are you're probably getting enough protein to actually build muscle, especially if you're eating carbs and fats with your foods. Essentially how I would set up my diet, if I didn't have any of the sauces, the dressings, or whatnot to put on my food, I would basically set it up with some of just the basic foods, right? So we'll go with protein sources. I would stick with egg whites, chicken, maybe some beef in there. I like salmon or maybe some type of fish. Really have those 4, you know, protein options. Carbs, you know, I love bread, just regular ass white bread. If I had to choose between like rice and potatoes, I would go potatoes personally. They're a little bit low calorie, a little more filling than rice. And if you really do like any type of like bean as well, like pinto beans or black beans, those typically carry a lot of protein in them as well. And believe it or not, a lot of vegetables actually carry a lot of protein in them as well. So if you're trying to get some more like protein in your diet, eat a lot of vegetables. Spinach, mushrooms, you know I love my sauteed mushrooms and onions. And get this as well, the most like protein-based veggie out there, if you have access to watercresses, those things are loaded in protein. Yeah, for watercresses, in 1 pound of watercresses, there's 10.7 grams of protein. 1 pound is around 53 calories, so it's extremely low calorie. If you were to have 100 calories of this vegetable, you would be getting in 20 grams of protein. That's a shit ton of protein for a veggie. So yeah, I mean, you would typically have to go with some of the basics as far as like, simple, like just, carbohydrates, no like anabolic recipe. I would go potatoes over rice personally. I would go bread. Those are my main go-tos. Veggies, I would just mix up my vegetables. Don't get bored of them. I like spinach, mushrooms, onions. I would throw some watercresses in there too if you're having trouble getting in protein. And if you have access to protein powder, I would maybe try and get some protein powder if you're feeling you're a little low on protein. And then to really actually kind of like flavor your food, I would really rely heavily on seasonings. And then if you can find the lowest calorie sauce, I would just roll with that sauce basically. Just add flavor to all my foods. You can still make amazing foods and like amazing dishes with like out having like the PB fits and low calorie syrups and fat free this and fat free that. I hope they kind of answered your question in some way, shape, or form. Or if you can order it online, have it delivered to you, go for it. I know that can get kind of expensive, so if you're on a budget, then that might suck. It may not be the most cost efficient thing to try and get things shipped to wherever you live. I'm assuming it's not in the United States. As far as actually not getting enough protein, because I know we had the conversation in my actual DMs, you probably are getting enough protein. Even though it's not 1 gram per pound, anywhere between 0.5 and 1 is sufficient. Next question, how to balance weightlifting and sports if you want to build the most amount of muscle as you possibly can while playing sports that would be considered harder on the body like basketball, soccer, football, etc. Let's say you play multiple times a week and you want to cut, main gain, or bulk. Okay, this one's a little bit more tricky, right? If you're playing sports that are a little bit harder on the body, like football, soccer, basketball, those things, right? There's a lot of running involved, right? A lot of impact if you're playing something like football. Well, I would basically do most of my muscle building in the off season. They actually get more athletic because you're not going to be like increasing athletic performance or really building a whole lot of muscle while you're in season. It's a little difficult, especially with how often you're maybe practicing or playing games. So the off season is when I would look to try and put on more lean muscle tissue. However, if you're in season, you just want to try and main gain basically. Season, I would basically, whatever amount of training volume you're doing, I would try and reduce that. If you're going to the gym 6 days a week, I would maybe try and go 4. If you can even get away with going like 2 to 3 times a week while being in season, I would try and do that. Hitting every muscle group twice per week. Make sure you're not sore, you're well covered. That way you just don't get injured, because that's one of the worst things that can happen. Now, to build muscle, really all you need is water, you need energy, and you need protein. Well, if you're training very, very hard, you're not recovered enough, you don't have enough energy, then I would try and back off on the training somehow, some way. If you're doing more training outside of your sport and it's causing you to be sore, I would basically relax on that as much as possible and train in a way where you're not sore. Obviously, we prioritize protein in our diet, eating 3 to 5 meals a day with protein in them. You're going to be maximizing protein synthesis. And then water, making sure you're also plenty hydrated. So the part between balancing sports and weightlifting is that when you're in season, it's very hard to actually try and continuously build muscle. It's not the most advantageous thing because you're probably going to be doing a lot more cardio as well. And you're sprinting, you're running, it's very hard to try and build muscle with that type of cardiovascular activity. So my recommendation is the off season, really take advantage to actually try and grow and build as much muscle as possible while still being athletic. I think an athlete anywhere between like 10 to like 15% body fat is a very good athletic body fat percentage range. Something that is maintainable, especially with how much cardio and how many calories you burn on a day-to-day basis, making sure you're just recovered overall. That's how it balances everything going on there. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I am wrapping these questions up here. I know there's a couple other questions that got submitted to me. I will get to answering those as well. It is, however, Thursday night. I have to get all my stuff ready because tomorrow is going to be one day out from our show. So I'm wrapping the video up here. I'm going to edit this, have it ready to be uploaded tomorrow, which is Friday, which is today, the day you're watching this, right? Anyways, wrapping the video up here. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. I'm your boy Joe. Peace.